criminal justice. So anyone that's with me now, we're going to talk to Mr. Manth. I think he's here.
I'm here. Hello.
Hi, Mr. Manth. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. So what usually happens is a lot of people hop out because they were in
Hmm.
class one, and then we give them kind of a minute to hop in.
All
Um,
right.
but we're talking criminal justice, and you teach at Kenton.
That is correct.
Yes. Okay, but we do have criminal justice at all of our centers. Yep.
Yep.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think away we go. So, Mr. Mance, could you give me a general description of criminal justice and what the program's like?
Absolutely. So, hi, my name is Mr. Math. I am the criminal justice teacher at the Kenton Career Center. We have criminal justice at all three of our career centers. There's currently 4 full-time teachers, and we have 1 teacher who teaches the legal academy. It's a 2-year program. It's intended for anyone interested in any aspect of the criminal justice field. I think it's kind of a misnomer that we're kind of like a police academy. We're really not that at all. And you don't have to want to be a police officer to join this program. You can be interested in any aspect of criminal justice, criminology, or even related areas. What differs us from other programs at Erie One BOCES is we're a little more academic in nature, a little less hands-on. It's just the nature of the subject matter that we teach and the way it's taught. And majority of people who have to work in this field are going to need to go on and get a college education. So we're a little bit different from some of the standard programs.
Okay, good to know. So you mentioned like going on to college for your education for pursuing things in this field. What are your articulation agreements with? What colleges?
Yeah, we have articulation agreements with all the local colleges, Erie Community College, Niagara Community College. We have a really good one with Hilbert College. A couple of our professors, a couple of our teachers teach there as well. I've been there for over 20 years now. Medaille College, Canisius College, and Niagara University in Buff State. But the one at Hilbert College, they're giving right now 12 college credits for students who get an 85 or higher in our 2-year program. In addition, select seniors can take a free course in the evening. All I have to do is pay for their book. So I'll have students will take advantage of that their senior year of high school, and they'll take a course the first half of their senior year, then a second course their second half, and they'll end up getting the 6 credit hours from there, in addition to the 12 or 15 credits that they'll get for actually taking the class.
That's a
So that's pretty
significant
exciting.
amount of college credit.
It is. It
Like
is.
very significant. Wow. Even I didn't realize it was that many credits.
Yeah, and other schools, ECC is given, I think, 12 now, and or given 9. So yeah, they're all giving quite a bit. The bigger schools like Buff State are only giving 3.
Okay. Wow. But still, 12
Mhm.
credits and up
It
that's
is
really
great.
awesome. So like in your class in criminal justice, what are some of the topics that you cover? So, or like,
Sure.
what are some of your favorite ones to cover?
Yeah, I love teaching all of it, to be honest with you, but I really like teaching the crime aspect of it. So my degree is actually in criminology, which is the study of crime. Criminal justice is part of that, but the course covers the entire criminal justice system. The junior year, we cover morals and values and how that leads to our laws. And we talk about our government and lawmaking. And then from there, we move on to law enforcement, how we enforce those laws and what police officers do. And after that, we talk about the third marking period, what happens when someone actually breaks those laws. And we talk about our court system and how we adjudicate people. And that includes a mock trial normally. And then the fourth quarter, we talk about what happens once someone's been convicted, and we talk about our correctional system. And it's not just prisons, there's community-based corrections and probation and parole and other aspects of rehabilitation that are a big part of that. At the end of the junior year, we generally start a module. Sometimes we finish it, other times we carry it over to the senior year, called Criminal Minds. And that seems to be a real favorite module for the students. And that's looking at serial killers and mass murders and all these real deviant people. And that's the area that I specialize at Hilbert College. So I really like teaching that as well. The senior year is a little bit different. We cover kind of a hodgepodge of topics. The first quarter, we generally look at the juvenile justice system and crimes committed against kids as well. We cover constitutional law. The kids learn how to brief Supreme Court cases. We generally cover the Fourth, Fifth, and Sixth Amendment and a little bit of the Eighth. New York State criminal law, which is called the Penal Code, is all done in the senior year. We have an entire module on forensic science, and the kids will learn how to process a crime scene and analyze various parts of evidence, also in criminal investigation as part of that. We do a module on terrorism and intelligence, and that's an area that I think more and more of our students are becoming interested in, is working instead of in law enforcement, in intelligence. It's a really big growing field right now. We do first aid and CPR and automatic external defibrillation, homeland security, regular security, firematics, report writing. There's a lot more practical aspects done the senior year.
I want to go back in time and take your program, Mr. Mantz.
Okay, you're welcome.
Sounds really fun. Maybe I'll find you at Hilbert. So we do have one question in the chat, and then I've been writing notes like a mad woman about things I want to ask you about. But the question is, if I want to be a lawyer, should I take this program?
Absolutely. So I probably have a dozen or so students over the last, so this is my 27th year teaching now. So I probably got about a dozen students that I know of. I mean, we do lose track of kids after a while, that are currently practicing attorneys, probably 4 times that, who are paralegals. So especially if you're interested in criminal law, this class is going to give you a really good foundation for that. And interesting enough that a lot of the students who become lawyers, they're actually not criminal lawyers, but they still learned a lot from the program. And you and the college credits are worth it alone to do that. So yeah, I have multiple students who have become lawyers. So that's definitely a good reason to take the class.
That's fantastic. And you did mention the Legal Academy, but I do want to throw it out there that the Legal Academy is only a 1-year program. So Legal Academy is just your senior year, and it is a great program, but there's not as much time to cover as much material. But if you are interested in that program, there is going to be an informational night January 27th, and all that information will go out later. But again, criminal justice is 2 years, so you cover a lot more information.
And students can take my class their junior year and then go to the Legal Academy their senior year. We have a handful of kids who do that every year.
That's a fantastic way to keep 2 years worth of like criminal justice and law in your schedule. That's perfect.
Definitely.
So what school was that offered 12 college credits for the grades 85 or higher?
Hilbert College.
Hilbert. Okay. So Hilbert College, and that is where you also teach, right, Mr. Mantz? Perfect.
Yeah. A lot of our students end up going there, especially the students from more of the South towns, from the Potter Career Center. But I teach in the North towns, and I would say 5 or 6 of my students go there every year, only because of the opportunities they get. They also get scholarships and other stuff like that. So they're a very student-friendly school.
So how many college credits do you get from this program? Well, it depends on the college that you choose. So you're articulated with quite a few. And the credits all are given based on, well, success in the program. You have to pass the course to get the credit, and which you choose. So you said Buff State is closer to 3 credits?
Yeah, I think they're at 3 right now. Niagara University's 3. Medaille's up to, I think, 8 or 9, I believe. So yeah, all of them are the same. You have to get an 85. That seems to be a big number with the colleges. And generally, you have to major in that field. So you're going to major in criminal justice or forensic science or something closely related, because the classes you skip are generally criminal justice classes like Introduction to Criminal Justice, Introduction to Forensic Science, Introduction to Security. So we make sure we modeled our curriculum around those real introductory courses that you're going to take at any school you go to.
Awesome. There's one other question. Can you participate in 2 different programs or just one for junior, senior year? Typically, you're taking one junior and senior year together because it is a 2-part class, right? So if you sign up for criminal justice or auto or cause anything, you're going to do the junior and senior year. The difference with criminal justice is if you wanted to choose to do the legal academy in your senior year, this is a great way to start off, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can't be taking two classes, two programs simultaneously. On occasion, I'll have students who will come as a senior and take my junior class. So they're just going to take half the class, but they always have to start with the junior class. So let's say they took another program their junior year and it just wasn't for them and they wanted to go back and take my program. They can't come back as a senior because they didn't get the foundation the junior year.
Right. And that would depend on your homeschool schedule as well and the core curriculum
Definitely.
there. Yeah.
Definitely.
So some of my notes, you mentioned criminal minds and you mentioned forensics. So my brain immediately goes to CSI with one Mr. Grissom, who is one of my favorite characters of all time. But I think we should kind of talk about that. You're going to learn that a lot of television criminal mindsy stuff isn't exactly real, right? You're going to learn about
You
how
nailed
really
it.
is done.
Yeah. We actually have an entire lesson called Myths and Reality. And it's all about what is real and what is not real. And
Yeah.
you're going to find, unfortunately, even though those TV shows are really cool and they're interesting and fun to watch and entertaining, that the reality aspect is extremely limited. And you generally have a group of people that do the investigation, a group of people that process the crime scene, and a group of people that analyze the evidence. And they really don't cross paths that much, where in CSI and shows like that, the same person does all of those things. So it's, but that's all part of learning and it's great. And if, you still want to get into one of those areas, there's still jobs. So.
Right. And if those shows pique your interest, then this is an absolutely awesome way to learn about the real world applications of these things. I've noticed an uptick in podcasts and shows about criminal psychology and like murder mystery, things like that. Do you address those too? Like I hate to say it this way because we're talking about crime, but like the popular crimes that have happened.
Absolutely. People still like not like it, but the interest is, there's entire, I remember in college taking a film course as a elective, an art elective, and there's a genre for serial killers. So that is that much of a big deal in our country, and there is a huge interest in it. So even though those crimes are seldomly done, we don't see them that often, the interest is really there, and we can learn a lot about the criminal mind by teaching about that. Right now, active shooters is definitely a really hot topic. I think the pandemic is kind of dampered that a little bit, which is good. We're not seeing as many cases as we were before that. But that's a topic we talk about a lot because it's of great concern to the criminal justice system, to our society in general.
Yeah. And we should say, like, we're talking really casually about these heavy topics, but that's what your course really is. So
it is.
It's not something you can shy away from when that's what you're talking about.
It's true. We talk about some real sensitive topics like child abuse and murder. And so you have to know that going in, that it's really not a career field for people who are squeamish and real super sensitive. I mean, there's areas you can still go into, but we try not to sugarcoat it too much. I mean, we teach everything appropriately for the age group, but there's certain things we can't change. We can't change the way how they behave.
Right, but we can study it.
We can certainly study it.
Yeah, we have a couple more questions.
Sure.
Let's see. Oh, we have quite a few. So you can do 1 year in criminal justice and then do legal academy. You can, if that's your path. How does the application process work? Are all students who apply, do they get accepted? So, Mr. Manth, is there an application process for your class?
There is not. So the Legal Academy is different because they actually interview and select people. They're looking for a certain type of student for that. And that's a great program, by the way. Mrs. Steiner is one of my best friends, and I co-taught with her for 10 years. So she's a dynamic teacher. So we love her. But our program is not. You're going to sign up, and so what we're looking for though is a certain well, let me answer this way. Here's who is successful in my class. Students, first of all, who are actually interested in criminal justice. If you're taking a class because your best friend's interested in criminal justice, you're not going to do well. If you're taking the class because your parents want you to take it and you're not interested, you're going to struggle. The reason is that we do a lot of work. All right? You're going to write research papers, you're going to do oral presentations. And if you're really interested in the subject matter, you're going to like doing that. It's enjoyable. All right. So we're also looking for people that don't mind writing papers and reading. It's a big part of the program is communications. It's the written communication, it's research, it's reading, and it's oral. It's actually talking, communicating. If you can't communicate, it's really difficult to work in this field. There's very few jobs that are desk jobs where you're sitting in on a computer all day long. They do exist, but majority of them are not like that. So we're definitely a little bit more of an academic program. So we really make that clear right in the beginning of the junior year. So people aren't surprised when we start giving them a certain level of workload.
That's good to know up front for sure.
Mhm.
So there are even more questions. Possible for a sophomore to enroll in career exploration program for the second semester of this year to help narrow down choices. I think that is possible. It would have to go through our counselor to see if we have an open spot for enrollment. And I think I got an email about this earlier, but I wasn't able to respond to it. But I will absolutely respond to it first thing either tonight or tomorrow morning. So I'll make sure to get even more details to you, but I think it is possible. Is this a good path? There's twofold. Good path for probation officers and corrections, and is it a good path for FBI work?
Excellent. So corrections right now is a really wide open field. There's a huge need for correctional officers, rehabilitative counselors, probation officers, and parole officers. So that is definitely an area, and this is exactly what you'd want to take. We're going to spend significant time both years talking about those type of careers. And people don't realize those careers are at every level of government. We have that at the county level, state level, and federal level. You can be a federal correctional officer in any of the 50 states. We have it at every level, and the military. So yeah, that is a huge, huge area. FBI, for sure, this is going to give you some foundation stuff. If you're super interested in FBI, I might not encourage you to go and major in criminal justice, for example, when you go to college. But for the high school program, it's absolutely fine. They're looking for accountants, people with degrees in finance and business and things of that nature. It's a very, very diverse organization. And actually leads me to a big part of what my job is actually to be a career counselor for you and a college counselor. And I spend a lot of the senior year working with students and helping them really look at what's college is best for them. If college is best for them, is the military a good route for that? And we always start with the career in mind and then work backwards. So when I sit down with a student and their parents, the first thing we ask them is, well, what is your dream career? And they say FBI. Then we start looking at what degrees you should get to join the FBI. And then we start looking at colleges that have that degree. So that's kind of like kind of an extra benefit you get for taking a criminal justice class at BOCES.
Awesome. I hope that answered the question. So there was another thing that you said about criminology. It sounds like you really focus on psychology too, like I don't want to say in a general sense, but like you touch on that pretty expansively, I guess.
Definitely. Yeah, it's a pretty big part of everything. I mean, police officers, they use psychology every day on the job. They deal with mentally ill people and disturbed people on a regular basis, probably daily in the inner cities. We cover major mental illnesses. We talk about counseling. And that's actually an area I really encourage my students to go into. Not everyone wants to carry a gun. Not every student wants to have handcuffs and put their life in jeopardy. And that's just fine. But there's plenty of other jobs in counseling for correctional counseling, for offender counseling for people who are become criminals, for victim counseling, and even for law enforcement officers to work with them. And I really think one of the trends now is to get more social work involvement in law enforcement. You're going to see more jobs in that area as well, where social workers work hand in hand with law enforcement to problem solve some of the things going on with people that's contributing to them committing crimes.
That's fantastic and very progressive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's really great. So the job market obviously is quite large because this is not a program if if you want to focus on being a police officer, that's great. FBI, that's great, but that doesn't mean those are the only things you can do. It sounds like you can do so much.
You really can, and I mean that's kind of like the basis of the entire program is talking about all the various careers. I mean, just law enforcement alone, you have it at every level and the military. I mean, you have local law enforcement, county, state, and then all the federal agencies. There's probably about 50 federal agencies that we'll go over that have law enforcement aspects or investigative aspects to it. And then you have the military. And corrections is the same way. It's at all levels of government. And then you have the entire court system at all levels of government in the military, forensic science, and then all these other areas. And we even I have kids who end up going in and being firefighters, and they become emergency medical technicians or paramedics, or they go into emergency management. So there's a lot of ancillary fields that cross over with criminal justice. It's very generic in nature, but it encompasses a huge, huge cluster of careers.
That's fantastic. So I know we talked about the fact that the program definitely has a focus on theory and reading and writing and communication, but I also have seen some of our criminal justice students making molds of footprints and running a scene, and I've seen some caution tape in the building before.
Definitely.
So can you tell me about some of the fun?
Absolutely. So we can't just be have our face in the book all day long. So that's boring for me too. So we definitely have it when applicable. We have hands-on stuff. The junior year, a lot of times this school resource officer will come in and help during these areas as well. But we're going to teach you how to handcuff, how to do searches. We do field sobriety tests, and that's actually really fun because you get to put goggles on that simulate intoxication, and you get to try to walk a line. And so you're going to do some basic police tactics. We might, during corrections, have you, in my classroom, I have a bed, which is kind of like a little mock jail cell. So I might have you actually pair up and search the area of the bed, which could be like a dorm in a jail, and look for contraband. The senior year, forensic science is just loaded with hands-on stuff. You're going to learn how to search a crime scene, then document it. You're going to sketch it. You can take pictures of it, and then you're going to have to identify what evidence is, figure out how to extract it using the proper method so you don't destroy it, and then we'll actually analyze it. Each classroom has a set of microscopes. We're going to do fingerprinting. You're going to lift fingerprints. You're going to roll fingerprints. You're going to compare fingerprint patterns. Like you said, we do foot impressions, and we actually in the winter go out there and do that in the snow as well using wax. You harden the print with layers of wax or hairspray. Hairspray works really well too. I don't need a lot of hairspray, so we get to use it for that applications. So yeah, we definitely, whenever possible, CPR, first aid, whatever we're doing, we try to have some type of practical aspect in it as well.
Do the students get certified in CPR?
Yeah, they do. They get American Heart Association certified in a course called Heart Saver and basic first aid. So they're going to learn adult, child, and infant CPR, basic first aid, and the use of an automatic external defibrillator. They also get a course that's the 8-hour pre-licensing course to become a security officer in New York State. And then when they turn 18, they can apply to the state and get their security officer license.
So they leave with a lot more than their diploma. They leave with
some
certifications that can open some doors pretty early, it sounds like.
For sure.
That's awesome. Do you guys do any field trips? I know with COVID it's tough.
Yeah, field trips are the best part of the program, I think. So the junior year, we generally go to a police department. Depending on which school you end up at, you generally go to the local one there. A lot of us use Amherst because they're very welcoming to students. We generally go to a county facility. You're either going to go to the Erie County Holding Center, or the county jail, which is out in Alden. See, and then sometimes other trips pop up. We've had Border Patrol invite us out, and we've been to Border Patrol several times. They're on Grand Island and in Tonawanda. They have a couple different stations. Senior year, the highlight is you go to a state prison, and we either generally go to Collins. Everyone wants to go to Attica, but they don't actually let you see Attica. So you go in and you meet with a panel of inmates because it's maximum security. You don't get a chance to tour it. Collins, we actually get a chance to tour the prison. And after the tour, you sit down with a panel of inmates and you get to ask them questions and they tell you what they did. And they're generally people who've been in there for murder and drug dealing and major crimes. Before COVID, we actually were going to the federal detention center. It's an ICE facility in Batavia, Immigration and Customs Enforcement. And there was showed us a ward where they have terrorists in there. And other people are just waiting to get sent back to their home country. So yeah, we try to do that. We've been to Mercy Flight. We've been to the airport. We just, whenever it fits in. Some of the guest speakers or some of the field trips we get are from parents. A parent will work for an agency and they'll be like, you know what, I think I can sneak in here. Let's schedule something. And where we can't get field trips, we have guest speakers. We try to have guest speakers from all these careers that we've already mentioned today, and whenever possible. And then the kids do have internships as well. We like to get them to do 30 hours their senior year. They go to places like, so it's really hard to get you in. No correctional facility will allow high school interns, unfortunately. And most of the court system does not as well. Mm-hmm. Law enforcement, they'll let you do ride-alongs. They'll let you do generally 3 or 4 ride-alongs, depending on the agency. So we try to get them into their local agency, or if they know a state trooper, we'll try to get them in with that, or county sheriffs. I use Roswell Parks Public Safety a lot. They have a huge public safety department there. So you can go with security. I have students who will go to law firms and they'll spend some time in a law firm. So we do our best with all of that. And those are all just real practical, real life experiences for the students.
Yeah. So it sounds like with the internships, you're really, as a student, you're really allowed to kind of focus on an avenue. Like if you want to be a lawyer or if you want to be a police officer or anywhere in between, you can make that internship into something that is all what you're focused on.
Definitely.
That's very cool. Very cool. And again, I don't want to stress it, but I do want to mention that it's some heavy topics that you guys deal with in the class. And, so it might be it's worth noting that you're going to talk about some heavy stuff in the criminal justice class. So
we do have fun though.
Say that again.
We do have fun.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Of course. I've seen the intoxication goggles demonstration.
Oh, they're great.
It looks like a riot.
Yeah.
But really, I'd like to go back in time and take this class. But there is a little more time, just a little bit open for questions if anyone either wants to type it into the chat box or wants to unmute and ask a question if it's a little long to type. But we've covered so much. I have one other question. You've talked about our students and things like that, but really, what is the one main thing one characteristic that a student can have that's going to make sure that they are super successful in this program?
It's hard to narrow down to one. I would definitely say attendance is super important.
Yeah.
I have you for 2 hours and 15 minutes a day, 5 days a week for 2 years in a non-COVID world.
Right. And, yeah, exactly.
and it's really hard for you to learn this stuff on your own. So I need you there. And I think being interested in giving effort. I mean, I have students who really struggle in school and they come to my class and get a 90. And their parents are like, what are you doing different? And I'm like, nothing. They just are interested. And that's the key, I think, to all of our programs and in career education.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. All right. Well, I think that's just about our 30 minutes for criminal justice. Thank you so much for talking to me, Mr. Manth. This was
You're very welcome. Thank you, everyone.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.